about this, and we were saying women, even if they when they've got position of power, how they use that position of power
does not benefit the nation.
It alienates even men.
Exactly.
And in the process, the more successful they are, the more one, and all those other things. Some of them, not all of them.
No. We must be very careful.
Yes.
to comb them the same.
Yes.
There are women whose stature does not change their understanding, but they are very few. And we need to be honest with that. The problem is men too, for a very long time, when women were in the kitchen, men too used the resources to frustrate women. Now, when women get resources, they are tempted to revenge.
What has this done to men in the hostel? Man is sitting in the hostel and without a family, and everything. How much has this damaged men?
Now, the psyche of men then changes, right? Because apartheid was dealing with the psyche. It was not intended to deal with any other thing. The intention of apartheid was, when they are finished with the project, we must be self-enslaved. Not that they should enslave. They must stand aside, give us power, give us everything, but we should go back and talk to them how to express ourselves.
So
exactly. They were developing that.
So we cannot do anything without the master and the master's approval.
Correct. Now, Bontate missed their complete role. They are turned into ATMs, complete ATMs. Not that they abdicate. Leading a family becomes a strange thing if you are only allowed to lead it for 3 weeks,
but
in a year. No woman has got an intention to love a man. None.
Yeah.
That's why even their creator said the best thing you can do is to submit.
Yes.
Because love is an act of sacrifice.
Yes.
And women are not known for sacrificing.
They never.
Now, here's what they know. They come into a relationship to provide for themselves and their siblings. That's the biggest reason they come into relationship.
They come for what's in for me.
What's in for me and my siblings. And when I say siblings, I don't mean I also mean his own children that come out of the marriage. That's why every time you divorce, because ubatla go sebedisa bana as a negotiating tool for you to continue to support.
We are here and we are going to speak radically. Makube njalo kude kube ngunaphakade. Beautiful Sunday afternoon. Good afternoon, Dadisle.
Good afternoon.
It's awkward afternoon, not morning.
Yes.
Today we are talking about one of those things as we celebrate Women and Women's Day. 4 segments that would dedicate to women and controversy around things. Let's talk about one of the core things that is very, very important. Family. Family is one segment that has been destroyed deliberately by apartheid. And as a result, today, we are looking at the fruits of destroying a family. What's your take on that?
True. There were systems that were put in place. Remember, the attitude of apartheid and the people who coined it was to deal with us economically. And in order to deal with us economically, a lot of people think that apartheid is about politics. It's politics, but its biggest intention was economic exclusion. Now, as they remember, with us, they were looking for what we called person power. They were not interested in anything that a black man can offer. They were not interested in a brain of a black person. They were interested in his hands, and they were employing that.
Yes.
And in a process of employment, the employment was done in such a way that it separates men from women, and it separates women from children. So it left a family, or what is left of the family, as children who fend for themselves. And it created ATMs on mothers and fathers. Where's fathers? Because apartheid went to build what we today call hostel dwellings. Those hostels was to manage the leadership skills of a man. If you remove him from a family for a period of 12 months, when he comes back, he's not known to the child which was born 12 months ago. So when he walks in, he has got no bond with that child. And as a result, he takes a position or a posture of a person who only supplies groceries and nothing else. And that posture did not end. It continued up to today. That's why when we walk into our families, bontate ha ba kena ba sutelwa ba fuwa di remote tsa TV, and then bana ba ya go
Monga sebaka o tlile.
monga sebaka o tlile. There's a special sofa created for them. It is called Lazy Boy. So he stays there. He's known to be a lazy boy of the family. He stays there. Now, bomme, partially they were brought back to come and not actually to bond with children, to educate children opposite what the father was educating them. A father is what we call a field slave, a slave that is on the street that wants to escape from the master. But the mother is next to the master. He eats what the master eats. He sometimes gets the clothes that the master clothes himself. He's the one.
Including crumbs.
Exactly.
Masalela adijo mo.
Exactly.
Yes.
And she cooks for the master. So the master is creating out of this woman an imbalanced person who will fit into that family, bring an education that, although your father says apartheid is bad, it is actually not as bad as it is. We're eating crumbs, I'm bringing bread, which naturally we wouldn't have because we are paid peanuts. So Bomme then start to have a diminished role. Remember, the creator of women said, a wise woman builds her own family.
Yes.
Now, here's a woman, wise or not wise. She's given a certain time to build family, but she's brought in with an education system that does not education system education system that is designed to flourish molelape, me taking instructions and delivering that instruction to the entire family, making sure that the family understands. Now, Ntate comes and he says, apartheid is bad. Look at how they treat me. Me comes back and says, it ain't that bad. So Bomme had that magnified role that God gave them was now diminished into a secondary role, and that's the problem.
Now that is they resolved Bomme 1956 too much.
Yes.
What does that mean?
It means they got tired about a number of things. Like in any war, remember apartheid was war. It's a pity that when the people came from Robben Island, they decided that it's no more war. It was war with big casualties. Now, Bomme were the ones bearing the brunt of children being killed. Remember, it was a program of two. The security forces of apartheid were killing. They were killing machine. Kids were on the street, rebellious because they couldn't take it any longer. Particularly the boy kids. They didn't have their father, but they could see where their father was taking them. So they rebelled. Now, as they rebelled, these kids, now you sit with them being killed by the security forces. Now, mothers were getting tired of burying their children in the absence of husbands. Right? Now, also mothers getting tired to lead a family which they were not designed by God to lead. They were designed to build. Now, in the process, they are building, and in the process, they are leading. It becomes a chaos. When they got tired in 1956, they mobilized and they said, let's march. A lot of people want to reduce the marching of the women to be called an anti-pass march. It was not the agenda, although the carrying of the pass was part of the agenda. But it was not the agenda. The same as the death of Hector Peterson. Yeah? People were not marching against Africans. Africans was a step ladder for people to be. It was the last screw that said, now we get mad.
Or this is the, will I be right in analogy if I say, the same way like the Release Mandela campaign was just naming, but it was more of disband political parties and let there be freedom.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, what has this done to men in the hostel? Man is sitting in the hostel and without a family, and with him and everything. How much has this damaged men?
Now, the psyche of men then changes, right? Because apartheid was dealing with the psyche. It was not intended to deal with any other thing. The intention of apartheid was when they are finished with the project, we must be self-enslaved. Not that they should enslave. They must stand aside, give us power, give us everything, but we should go back and talk to them how to express ourselves.
So
exactly. They were developing that.
So we cannot do anything without the master and the master's approval.
Correct. Now, Bontate missed their complete role. They are turned into ATMs, complete ATMs. Not that they abdicate. Leading a family becomes a strange thing if you are only allowed to lead it for 3 weeks.
But
in a year.
I agree with you in that respect and wholeheartedly. But this phenomenon has continued.
Yes.
I always imagine that o sa sebetseng ka lapeng o sa tleng ka tšhelete o treatwa yang.
Correct. Mar before ya go sa tleng ka tšhelete le ena o tlang ka tšhelete o treatwa yang. In case tšhelete a ile kane dikoloto o treatwa yang.
And
the same one, he is consistently and constantly compared with others who are better off than him. And then he becomes what? A problem.
Yes.
You understand?
I do.
Exactly. Now, who makes this person a problem? The best support structure that he can get. The wife.
Yes.
Now the wife has moved from the role of supporting. Now the wife takes the role of a critic. Now the wife, when you lose work, the wife takes the role, and remember this was created by white people, of a breadwinner.
Yes.
Mind the weight.
Yes, breadwinner.
Not bread provider.
A winner. He wins.
He wins
you
bread.
Go to a battle and you come back a winner.
That's what we should understand.
Yes.
And we should not be excited to be called breadwinners. We must understand that we are being, even though we might have our own business, we are purported to be slaves who will fight to win their bread at all costs. Now that we are breadwinners, we have won the bread, we have come. The bread arrives at home is not enough. Who gets frustrated? The wife. And how does the wife take out the frustration? He goes back and he uses the weapon of mass destruction. A man without food, without sex, becomes frustrated. And his response is unnatural. And that's how women respond. Once there's no food, who's the first person not to get food?
It's the man.
It's the man. To say, no, you didn't provide enough. So, arsa ufa dijo. And then arsa ufi dijo, rapara stofi ko dikubo. And then it becomes a two-dimensional problems. And that's the outcome that apartheid intended.
But what were we supposed to do in, let's say, post 1994 in changing a lot of things? I'm looking for a better English word that we could use to be able to say, reteach our people to say, because this has continued.
It will continue for a very long time, until such time that we take a responsibility to reconfigure and recalibrate a man and a woman.
But we are living in the times now. If somebody batla go nyala manana, you are going to say ke batla CV ya mthago le bank balance. O tla tlhokomela, o tla reng from men's, because we've been channeled ka tsela eo. O tla tlhokomela ngwana wa ka. Utla utswa go lapeng le lefing and all that, and this becomes pressure on men.
Yeah, it becomes pressure because when men look at marriage, they don't even look it the same as women. For a woman, marriage is a sense of empowerment. For a man, marriage is not. It was in the past a sense of empowerment. But when we look at what happens today in today's families, and we are not being critical of women, we are saying they are the entry point of education to both our sons and daughters, because they spend more time with them than we do. We are not being critical. We are being saying, what is the responsibility? And once they move from that responsibility of bringing what is necessary in terms of education to a family gets confused. Hence, we produce bashimane who do not want to emulate their fathers, but want to emulate their mothers. Now, whether you call them gay, it's up to you. Me, I'm not there. I'm simply saying.
But was this like project to be able to say these ones, they are going to find themselves balimo? Because I remember last time we were talking about this and we were saying women, even if they when they've got position of power, how they use that position of power
does not benefit the nation.
It alienates even men.
Exactly.
And in the process, the more successful they are, the more and all those other things. Some of them, not all of them.
No. We must be very careful to comb them the same.
Yes.
There are women whose stature does not change their understanding, but they are very few. And we need to be honest with that. The problem is men too, for a very long time, when women were in the kitchen, men too used the resources to frustrate women. Now, when women get resources, they are tempted to revenge.
But I have seen women who turn against other women. They went into the same school. Because of position of power. What's making them to be like that? Where's humility? Where is separation of resources? Because the moment they become resourced, you're in line.
Yeah, we must also qualify it and say not all of them.
Yes.
But in the main, when resources come, we are forced to push resources into a small channel called money. But that's not, because resources include your brain, but now we channel it to money.
Yes.
When they have money, the saying of the Bible that says money is the root of all evil, you see it when some women have it in their hands. They become somebody else.
True.
It does happen to men, but men are killed by one thing when they've got money, is to multiply women in their lives. That's what kills them. But where does it come from? This thing of multiplying women. Maybe we should go back and check hore setso sa rona ne se reng ka step, and society no e reng ka step, and therefore what is the reaction ya bontate in relation.
Another thing that is labor has see. Now I've seen people babbling. I dropped standard when I came to this woman, but it was not my ideal woman. Now my ideal woman but negisna go mo afford at that time. So as a result, there are a lot of examples where black men, the moment they analyze the resources, it becomes something else. And also another controversy becomes women, the moment black men becomes resourced, they become freely available. Suddenly,
yeah, that's unfortunate. Ntate Malungane gore again type ya bonna o mosadi a mmatlang. Sometimes we need to be brutally honest and say, sometimes when you don't know what you want, you fall for what appears to be what you want.
Okay.
And that's a challenge that women are facing today. What is available on the street? A man who drives a particular car attracts women because women are not tuned to be bread providers. They are not.
But will I be right to be able to say at times in their mind, they are looking at people that would solve their problems.
Let's conclude. Let's summarize it this way and say, no woman has got an intention to love a man. None.
Yeah.
That's why even their creator said the best thing you can do is to submit.
Yes.
Because love is an act of sacrifice.
Yes.
And women are not known for sacrificing.
They never.
Now, here's what they know. They come into a relationship to provide for themselves and their siblings. That's the biggest reason they come into relationship.
They come for what's in for me.
What's in for me and my siblings. And when I say siblings, I don't mean batho ba ko ga bona fela. I also mean his own the own children that come out of the marriage. That's why every time you divorce, o batla go tsamaya le bana. Because o batla go sebedisa bana as a negotiating tool for you to continue to support. That's why I always say maintenance is only recently that maintenance talks to women. But maintenance act, when it was designed, it was designed to force men to maintain the standard of living. Listen to this, the standard of living of the woman.
Is it 2024? Is the law fair against men on a number of things? I'm imagining that and you are in that field. I'm imagining a woman who comes, and I had a brother who came and said the wife had a plan that in the morning we are police station, bula case ya rape, and the man is gone. Divorce, this one is gone for 20 years, and this becomes the plan. Is this still applicable?
It is applicable. I do not want to talk official stories.
Yes.
But let me tell you one thing. When a man goes to report a case of rape at the police station, what do you think is going to be the reaction of the women and the men behind the counter? And it's not a deliberate thing.
Yes.
It's a natural thing that men can be raped. That's a natural thing. Although the law prescribes it differently.
Yes.
When you come to the police station, a man will never come to the police station and cry about what a woman has done, even if the woman has just assaulted him. He will come and say, my wife assaulted me. And then men who are there will go to a corner and laugh about it and say, what type of a man? Demand. Yeah. It's a natural thing that will come to men. But women too. But when a woman arrives, the first thing is manipulation. She manipulates the audience by crying. And then everybody else forgets to be logical about the issue. They all become emotional about it.
Yes,
including the response of those that must help.
And also in the process, who are going to look at as a potential. So
correct. Divene had it, they want to remove the stupid out of the road so that they do. But what they do not realize is that the fate suffered by this one could be the fate suffered by them. That's what they don't realize. And recently, we're not saying all rapes are faked and all domestic violence cases are faked. No, we need to be honest and say men are brutal when they do those things. They're brutal.
Yes.
And we can never condone that. But we are saying women in some instances become silent participants in their own abuse, in that they fake it when it is not there.
True.
Yeah. They become silent participants. And what does that do to people who must serve them? The moment it comes out that it was fake, you have influenced the guy who is investigating your case, you have influenced the prosecutor, you have influenced the magistrate. Now, all people are influenced. It diminishes the importance of domestic violence. It diminishes the importance and the seriousness of rape.
Yeah. We are in conversation and we are talking. We are part of celebrating Women's Day is to make sure that Bo Ausi Barona and Bo Nake Barona and all that, they get this thing right, because a lot of things are happening. That is the, I want us next week to talk about this concept of Papa in the church that is done by women. This concept of we understand? Tse di tla fela ga go tlile moruti ko ntlong, tse di tla fela go etswa eng go apeiwa dilo tse di different and all that. The thing that women unconsciously do in making sure gore ba etsa yalo, including also serving and servicing batlanka ba modimo sexually, all in the name of a church, all in the name of thinking that this one is closer to God. Satan yo bitswang hlangi o tla ipona. Understand? Motlanka modimo ha le gore yena o na le maikutlo a, it's normal to do that with them. Are we in agreement?
We are in agreement. Let's qualify it and say, I'll be talking in that segment as a pastor.
Yes.
I'm not talking as a layman.
Yes.
I'm talking as a pastor. And we will trace it back to say, why is it intentional that when all men go to work in the mines and everywhere in the past and even in the future, that pastors were left behind to take care of our families? What was the apartheid person thinking in his mind when he did that? We'll talk about it.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait for next week to do that. But can we conclude to say, what is the feeling of this man? Muchichirizo ke monna o yang kopana le bana ba bang go khoneng ba emela bontate ba divene ba tle ba banke ba tsamaye ka bona. Now I always imagine a man who goes there and aba khutla go ntlong ka maoto ka 6 a sa tshwara mix. How does it feel? The humiliation that man feels as a result of this.
It's immeasurable. Remember, man has in his mind that he's a bread provider.
Yes.
Forget the breadwinner, bread provider.
Yes.
Now, if there's a day that he comes into the home and he can't provide bread, it does not only strip his mind, it strips his dignity. Because how do you justify to your children that I'm coming and I have nothing? When you leave, you are raising expectations.
Here's a
When
question.
you come back.
Here's a question. There's a book that I've gone through, and maybe the other day we will talk about it. Is this natural that man must provide in the animal kingdom? Because in all animals, providers tends to be women. And the Bible itself, when it speaks of the Proverbs 31 woman, it talks about the provider, the multiplier, not the current man that is manipulated to provide for woman, as if like women are entitled to be provided.
Let's talk to it next week, because it's a subject on its own.
Yes.
To say, what was in the mind of God when he said, a wise woman builds. What is the process of building? What does it require? Let's talk about it. And I challenge women to listen. Let's talk about it. Fresh from church. They'll be fresh from church.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Until then.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.